I spotted it the moment I stepped into my dressing room. An envelope, plain white, no return address. Just my name, Lindsay Cox, in block letters. No way it came through official channels. Someone got backstage. Someone got past security. My skin crawled as I sliced it open. We see you when you think you're alone. Your voice won't save you. Damn it. Third one this month, but this felt different, more immediate. I crumpled it just as my manager Victor burst in. Spectacular show. Bakersfield loves you, darling. He noticed my face. What's wrong? I tossed him the note. His expression darkened as he read it. That's it. I'm hiring security. Victor, it's probably just not negotiable. He stabbed at his phone. This is escalating. 2 days later, I was stabbing a shovel into dry California soil instead of worrying about creepy notes. The charity tree planting event was my favorite kind of PR, actually doing something useful. My publicist Elena had suggested it after seeing my mood spiraling. You need sunshine and dirt under your nails, she'd insisted. She wasn't wrong. I wiped sweat from my forehead, blonde hair sticking to my neck despite the ponytail. That's when I noticed her. Tall, muscular frame, black hair pulled into a severe bun. Her movements were efficient, almost military, no wasted effort. Unlike me, flailing around trying to make my sapling stand straight. Damn thing won't stay up, I muttered. You're planting it too shallow. Her voice was low, confident. The roots need depth. She knelt beside me, and I caught a glimpse of startling blue eyes. Without asking permission, she took the shovel, dug deeper, showing me the proper technique. Thanks, Mila White. Lindsay Cox. I know who you are. Of course she did. Everyone in Bakersfield knew me since my second album hit platinum. What I didn't expect was her complete lack of being impressed by it. A commotion erupted nearby, some guy with a phone rushing toward us, shouting my name. Before I could react, Mila stepped between us. Her stance shifted subtly. Nothing dramatic, but suddenly she looked like a coiled spring. Sir, this is a private event, she said calmly. Just one picture. He tried to dart around her. She didn't move aggressively, just repositioned. Somehow the guy was suddenly walking the other direction, looking confused about how he'd ended up there. You've done that before, I said when she returned. She shrugged. Former military. Old habits. We planted 3 more trees together. I learned nothing personal about her despite my attempts at conversation. She deflected questions with practiced ease. The next morning, Victor strolled into my kitchen unannounced. A privilege he'd earned after 8 years as my manager. Good news. Found you security. I told you I don't want... She starts today. She? The doorbell rang. Victor's smile widened as he opened the door. Standing there in a crisp black suit, hair still in that severe bun, was Mila White. You've got to be kidding me, I said. Ms. Cox. She nodded formally, as if we hadn't spent yesterday playing in dirt together. Victor looked between us. You've met? Tree planting, I said flatly. Victor. A word. I dragged him to the kitchen. I don't need a babysitter. She's not a babysitter. She's ex-Special Forces with an impeccable record in private security. He shoved his phone at me, displaying Mila's resume. 3 years protecting a Saudi princess. 2 with a tech billionaire. She's the best. I value my privacy. And I value your life, Victor snapped. Someone's getting too close. These threats are escalating. Fine, I relented. Trial basis. When we returned, Mila was examining my front windows with a critical eye. Your security system is outdated, she stated without preamble. The locks on your back door wouldn't stop a determined teenager. I crossed my arms. Well, hello to you too. I'll need to stay here. Security is a 24-hour job. Excuse me? The guest room will suffice. I looked at Victor in disbelief. He shrugged apologetically. Trial basis, I repeated through gritted teeth. Mila nodded once and returned to examining my windows, already measuring them for who knows what fortress upgrades. I watched her move, purposeful, alert, those blue eyes missing nothing. This was going to be a disaster. Living with Mila White was like having a silent ghost patrol my house. Except this ghost rearranged my furniture, installed security cameras, and gave me lectures about maintaining the perimeter. "Do you really need to move my couch 2 inches from the window?" I asked on her third day. "Sniper line of sight," she replied without looking up from her work. "In suburban Bakersfield?" She just gave me one of those looks that made me feel like a child who'd asked why the sky is blue. Within a week, my comfortable home resembled a stylish prison. New locks, security system, cameras, and a strict protocol about who could visit and when. The final straw came when she insisted on doing a background check on my housekeeper of 5 years. "Maria has cleaned my toilets since before I could afford matching furniture," I argued. "She's not sending me threatening letters." "Everyone is suspect until proven otherwise," Mila said, her blue eyes cold and professional. "That's how I keep clients alive." "I'm not just a client," I snapped. "I'm a person who needs some damn privacy occasionally." Something flickered across her face, so brief I almost missed it. Was that actual emotion from the robot bodyguard? "Your safety is my priority," she said finally. "Not your comfort." I had a show that night at the Bakersfield Sound, a mid-sized venue where I'd performed dozens of times. Normally, I'd be buzzing with pre-show energy, but Mila's constant surveillance had me on edge. Backstage, she prowled around checking exits while I tried to warm up my voice. "Could you not?" I finally said. "You're making me nervous." "Good. Awareness keeps people alive." Elena, my publicist, shot me a sympathetic look as she adjusted my stage outfit, a silver sequined top with fitted jeans. "She's intense," Elena whispered. "But after that last note, maybe it's necessary?" I nodded reluctantly. The threat had felt different, more intimate somehow. Still, did that justify having a shadow? When I took the stage, the crowd's energy washed over me, and for the first time in days, I felt free. This was my element, just me, my guitar, and 3,000 people who knew every word to my songs. I could almost forget about the letters. Halfway through my set, during Midnight Confessions, I spotted Mila at stage left, her posture rigid. She wasn't watching me. Her eyes scanned the crowd methodically, section by section. Suddenly, she tapped her earpiece and moved quickly toward the right side of the venue. My voice didn't falter, but my heart rate doubled. What had she seen? After the show, I cornered her in the green room. "What happened out there?" Suspicious movement near the sound booth. "Just a drunk fan trying to record from a restricted area." Her eyes narrowed. "You missed a security check before going on stage." "I've been performing for a decade without your security checks. And now someone's threatening you." Coincidence? I threw up my hands. One has nothing to do with the other. Victor stepped between us. "Ladies, the show was magnificent. Let's focus on that." The ride home was tense silence. Once inside, I headed straight for the kitchen and poured a generous whiskey. "Drinking impairs alertness," Mila commented from the doorway. "Being sober makes you unbearable," I shot back, taking a deliberate sip. She almost smiled. Almost. Later that night, I couldn't sleep. Around 2 a.m., I wandered to the kitchen for water and found Mila at the table, reviewing security footage on her laptop. "Do you ever sleep?" I asked. 4 hours a night. Military habit. I sat across from her. Must be exhausting seeing danger everywhere. She closed her laptop. "When you've seen real danger, you can't unsee the possibility of it." Something in her tone made me pause. "What happened? In your past? That's not relevant to your security." "It is to me. You're living in my house, controlling my life. I deserve to know something about you." She regarded me silently, then said, "Afghanistan. 2 tours. I learned that threats rarely announce themselves until it's too late." Before I could respond, my phone pinged with an email notification. Junk mail, but the alert startled me. Then the mail slot clicked. Mila was on her feet instantly, signaling me to stay put as she moved silently toward the front door. She returned holding another plain envelope. "Don't touch it," she said, using a pen to open it. Inside was a photo of me, sleeping, in my bedroom, from last night. "They've been inside," Mila said, her voice deadly calm. "Recently. I felt the blood drain from my face." "How?" "That doesn't matter now." She took my hand, the first time she'd touched me outside of security protocols. Her fingers were warm, strong. What matters is they won't get that close again. Our eyes met, and something electric passed between us. She dropped my hand suddenly, as if burned. "Pack a bag," she ordered, her professional mask back in place. "We're changing locations tonight." I wanted to argue, to maintain some control, but the photo had shattered my illusions. Someone had been in my bedroom watching me sleep. "Okay," I whispered, suddenly grateful for the serious woman with blue eyes who saw danger everywhere. Maybe she wasn't overreacting after all. Detective Raymond was exactly what you'd expect: rumpled suit, perpetual frown, and eyes that had seen too much. He spread the threatening letters across the hotel desk, while Mila hovered nearby like a sentinel. "These are escalating," he said, tapping the most recent one with its disturbing bedroom photo. "Stalking behaviors follow patterns. This one's moving fast." I hugged myself. "Any fingerprints?" "Nothing. Very careful. But the paper's expensive, specialty stock, not something you'd buy at Office Depot." Mila, who'd been silent until now, spoke up. "That narrows it to someone with money or connections." Raymond nodded. "And access. The photographer knew your schedule, your home layout. This is someone close to you, Ms. Cox." The implication sat heavy between us. Someone I trusted was betraying me. "We need a list," Mila said. "Everyone with access to your home or schedule in the last 6 months." I spent the next hour naming names: my small staff, studio executives, friends. Each name felt like a small betrayal itself. After Raymond left, Mila's phone rang. She answered with clipped responses, then hung up. "I need to check something. Stay in the room. Door locked." "Where are you going?" "To eliminate a suspect." I watched from the window as she drove away, feeling both protected and imprisoned. The rain that had threatened all day finally broke, pelting the glass in angry bursts. 2 hours later, I couldn't stand it anymore. I called Victor. "Where's your guard dog?" he asked. "Investigating." "Victor. Detective Raymond thinks it's someone close to me." A pause. "That's troubling. Where were you last night around midnight?" He laughed. "Seriously? I was at the Continental with investors until 2 a.m. 20 witnesses. I have to ask everyone." "Of course. But Lindsay, be careful with this Mila woman too. We vetted her, but she has access to everything now." I hadn't considered that. Could Mila be playing some elaborate game? When she returned 3 hours later, soaking wet and grim-faced, I was waiting. "Where were you?" She removed her wet jacket. "Your manager's office." "You did what?" I stood up, furious. "You broke into Victor's office?" "I didn't break in. I used my resources." "Without telling me, he's been my manager for 8 years. Which makes him perfectly positioned to manipulate your life." She pulled out her phone. "His assistant gave me access to his calendar. He's been tracking your every move, including private appointments not related to your career. He's my manager. That's his job." "Is it his job to photograph the inside of your bedroom?" That stopped me cold. "What are you saying?" "I'm not accusing him directly, but someone close to you is feeding information to your stalker, if they're not the stalker themselves." "Get out," I said quietly. "I need to think." "Lindsay, please, just give me space." Reluctantly, she stepped onto the balcony, leaving me alone with my spinning thoughts. Victor had discovered me singing in a dive bar, built my career from nothing. Could he be behind this, or was Mila seeing threats where there were none? The power went out 30 minutes later. In the sudden darkness, lightning illuminated the room in strobing flashes. Mila was inside instantly, gun drawn. "It's just the storm," I said. "Maybe." She checked the hotel room systematically anyway. With the air conditioning dead, the room grew stuffy. We moved to the balcony where a slight breeze offered relief under the covered awning. The city lights had gone dark too, a widespread outage. "Some bodyguard," I said, trying to lighten the mood. "Can't even protect me from a power outage." Her profile, illuminated by lightning, remained serious. "I can't protect you if you don't trust me." "Trust goes both ways. You investigated my oldest ally behind my back? I investigate everyone. It's what keeps clients alive." There's that word again. "Client." She turned to me, those blue eyes intense. "What would you prefer I call you?" The question hung between us, heavy with unspoken possibilities. I don't know, I admitted. I just know I'm tired of being afraid. Lightning flashed again, closer this time. In the momentary brightness, I saw something in her face crack open. Vulnerability, maybe even longing. I was engaged once, she said suddenly. In the military. She died in an ambush I should have seen coming. The confession stunned me silent. That's why I do this, she continued, her voice low. I see threats everywhere because I missed one that mattered. Mila, that wasn't... My job is to see patterns, predict human behavior. I failed her. She looked away. I won't fail you. I reached for her hand in the darkness. She didn't pull away. Is that why you suspect Victor? You see a pattern? Yes. The stalker knows things only insiders would know. Victor controls your schedule, your security codes. Has keys to your home. So does Elena. And my assistant. And the studio executives. All being investigated. Thunder crashed directly overhead, making me jump. Mila's hand tightened on mine. I'm not used to this, I confessed, depending on someone else. I'm not used to caring about a she caught herself, about someone I'm protecting. The admission hung between us as rain pounded the awning. For the first time since the threats began, I felt something besides fear, a dangerous warmth spreading through my chest. We should go inside, Mila said, her professional mask slipping back into place. But neither of us moved, our hands still joined in the darkness as the storm raged around us. After 3 days holed up in the hotel, I was climbing the walls. Mila finally agreed we could venture out, to a coffee shop 2 blocks away, with her scouting ahead and me wearing sunglasses and a baseball cap like some B-list celebrity hiding from paparazzi. This is ridiculous, I muttered as we walked. I'm not even that famous. Famous enough for someone's obsession, she countered, scanning the street with those vigilant blue eyes. The coffee shop was nearly empty. I savored the normality. The bitter espresso, ambient music, people who didn't recognize me. For 20 blissful minutes, I forgot about threatening notes and bedroom photos. Then a barista did a double take. Oh my God. Lindsay Cox. Mila tensed, but the girl just wanted a selfie. Against Mila's subtle headshake, I agreed. One photo wouldn't hurt. You're even prettier in person, the barista gushed. Is this your girlfriend? I choked on my coffee. My bodyguard, actually. Oh. Sorry. The girl looked between us unconvinced. You two just seem... Anyway, thanks for the pic. As we left, Mila walked closer to me than usual. That was unnecessary, she said. Being nice to fans? Revealing I'm your security. Element of surprise is valuable. What should I have said? Yes, this is my girlfriend? Something flickered across her face. So quick, I almost missed it. We should go, was all she said. The next morning, my phone exploded with notifications. The barista had posted our photo with the caption, Lindsay Cox and her bodyguard looking cozy at my shop today. #PowerCouple. It had thousands of shares already. Damn it, I groaned, showing Mila. She scanned the comments, her expression darkening. We need to control this narrative. Victor called minutes later. Have you seen this? The studio executives are calling me. It's nothing. A misunderstanding. Nothing? Lindsay, you've worked hard to maintain a certain image. This complication wasn't in our marketing plan. I bristled. My personal life isn't marketing. Everything about you is marketing until your contract renewal. His voice softened. I'm just looking out for you. After hanging up, I paced the hotel room. This is insane. One coffee shop photo and suddenly I'm in a scandal. Your stalker will see it too, Mila noted. It changes their perception of your relationship dynamics. I hadn't thought of that. Is that dangerous? Could trigger escalation. We should relocate. That's how we ended up driving to my cabin in the mountains 2 hours outside Bakersfield. I'd bought it after my second album went platinum, a retreat where no one could find me, except Mila, who'd apparently been tracking my phone location all along. You could have just asked where I was going, I said as she pulled up 20 minutes after I arrived. You left without security, she replied, clearly furious. In the middle of a stalking case. I needed to breathe. Breathing won't matter if you're dead. The words hung between us, harsh and frightening. I turned away, blinking back unexpected tears. I can't live like this forever. Her expression softened slightly. Not forever, just until we catch them. The cabin always calmed me. The pine-scented air, distant mountain views, absolute privacy. Even Mila seemed to relax marginally as she did her security check, though she frowned at the large windows and multiple entry points. This place is indefensible, she muttered. It's not supposed to be a fortress. It's supposed to be a sanctuary. As evening fell, I built a fire while Mila prepared a simple dinner from supplies I kept frozen. We ate in surprisingly comfortable silence, the crackling fire casting warm light across her features, softening her perpetual vigilance. You're different here, she observed. This is the real me. Not the performer, not the brand, just Lindsay. I like this version, she said quietly. The admission hung between us, delicate and unexpected. I studied her face, those sharp cheekbones relaxed for once, blue eyes reflecting firelight instead of scanning for threats. Why did you become a bodyguard? I asked. After the military? It was what I knew. Protecting people. Even though it reminds you of what happened? She stared into her wine glass, especially because of that. We were interrupted by breaking news on my phone. A forest fire had started 10 miles south, spreading rapidly in the dry conditions. We should leave, Mila said immediately. But as we packed, the emergency alert system pinged, roads closed, evacuations in progress. We were cut off. The fire's moving away from us, I said, checking the map. We're safer staying put than joining evacuation traffic. Mila positioned herself by the window, watching the distant orange glow against the night sky. The tension in her shoulders told me she hated being trapped. We'll be okay, I said, standing beside her. I don't like variables I can't control. Welcome to my world lately. Our eyes met in the window reflection. Something electric passed between us. A current I'd been trying to ignore since the night of the power outage. I touched her arm. Thank you. For keeping me safe. She turned to me, professional mask slipping. Lindsay. I don't know who moved first. Maybe we both did. But suddenly her lips were on mine, tentative at first. Then with increasing urgency. Her hands cupped my face with surprising gentleness from someone so strong. When we broke apart, breathless, the professional distance was gone completely. In its place was raw need, a hunger reflecting my own. This complicates things, she whispered against my lips. I know. I'm supposed to protect you. You are. I guided her hand to my heart, in every way that matters. Outside, the forest fire burned through the night, keeping us isolated from the world. But inside, a different kind of fire ignited, one I wasn't sure either of us could control. We returned to reality 2 days later when the fire danger passed. The mountain sanctuary and what happened there seemed like a dream as I walked back into my Bakersfield home. Everything looked exactly as I'd left it, yet nothing felt the same. Mila performed her usual security check while maintaining a careful distance between us. We hadn't discussed what happened at the cabin, that moment when professional lines had blurred beyond recognition. Now, back in civilization, she seemed determined to rebuild those boundaries. All clear, she reported. All business again. I've updated the security codes. Mila, we should talk about... I've overstepped my professional boundaries, she interrupted. It won't happen again. What if I want it to happen again? Her blue eyes met mine briefly, then darted away. My job is your security, not your... My what? I challenged. My lover? My partner? What exactly are you afraid of? Distractions get people killed. Before I could argue further, my phone rang. Elena checking when I'd be ready to record the backing vocals for my new single, life rushing back in. That evening, I sequestered myself in my home studio, the one place I could process emotions without words. I'd been working on a song before the threats began, something about vulnerability and strength. Now it carried new meaning. I was deep into a recording take when the studio door opened. Mila never interrupted my sessions. Something was wrong. She held out an envelope. Plain white, no markings. Where? My voice barely worked. Inside your guitar case. Ice flooded my veins, my studio, my sanctuary. They had been here, touched my things. With trembling hands, I opened it. I saw you with her. You'll regret choosing your watchdog over me. The photo showed us outside the cabin, wrapped in each other's arms, clearly intimate. My privacy violated in the most remote place I owned. This is impossible, I whispered. Nobody knew we were there. Mila's expression was stone. Someone tracked us. But you checked for... I missed something. Her voice contained a self-loathing that startled me. Again. She slammed her fist against the wall so suddenly I jumped. The crack in her professional veneer revealed something raw and terrifying beneath. Not just anger, but fear. Mila, pack what you need, she ordered. 5 minutes. I'm not running again. This is my home. This location is compromised. Every location is compromised. They found us at a remote cabin, for heaven's sake. What's next? A bunker? A deserted island? We stared at each other, both breathing hard. The tension between us had transformed from desire to something dangerous. Desperation on both sides. I can't lose you, she finally said, voice barely audible. The admission hung in the air, layered with meanings neither of us was ready to unpack. You won't, I promised. But I can't live as a prisoner either. Detective Raymond arrived 30 minutes later, examining the letter with grim focus. The stakes have changed, he said. This is now explicitly threatening, and the cabin photo suggests surveillance equipment or physical tracking. What do we do? I asked. Smoke them out. Give them something to react to. Like what? A public appearance. Something they can't resist. Absolutely not, Mila interjected. Too many variables. Better to draw them out on our terms than wait for them to choose the moment, Raymond argued. I thought about it. I have that charity performance tomorrow night. Small venue, controlled environment. Out of the question, Mila insisted. It's perfect, Raymond countered. We'll have plainclothes officers throughout the venue. I looked at Mila, whose jaw was clenched so tight I worried for her teeth. I need to keep living my life, I told her gently. Otherwise, they've already won. Later, alone in my bedroom, I found Mila standing by the window, scanning the street below with military precision. Talk to me, I said. There's nothing to discuss. You've made your decision. This isn't just about the performance. I moved closer. You've been distant since we came back from the cabin. As I should be. Why? Because you're afraid of caring too much, or because you blame yourself for the cabin photo? She turned, eyes like blue fire. Both. I let my guard down. I got emotionally involved, and look what happened. What happened was beautiful, I countered. The threat isn't your fault. My job. To hell with your job. I stepped closer, invading her carefully maintained space. This is about us, whatever's happening between us. There can't be an us while I'm responsible for your safety. There already is an us. You're just too scared to admit it. She moved with surprising speed, her hand suddenly cupping my face. I'm not scared of admitting it, she said, voice rough with emotion. I'm terrified of losing you like I lost her. Don't you understand? I can't be objective anymore, and that makes you vulnerable. I covered her hands with mine. Maybe I don't want objective. Maybe I want someone who cares enough to be terrified of losing me. Our foreheads touched, a gesture more intimate than any kiss. I'll keep you safe tomorrow, she whispered. But after that, you need a different security detail. Mila, no. It's the only way, she insisted. I'll find the best team, but I can't be responsible for your security anymore. Not when I... She stopped herself, but the unspoken words hung between us, more powerful for remaining unsaid. The charity event was a small affair at the Rose Room, intimate enough that I could see individual faces in the crowd, large enough to make security a nightmare. Mila had insisted on a complete sweep of the venue hours before anyone arrived. She'd positioned herself strategically backstage where she could monitor both me and the audience. I'd chosen a simple blue dress for the performance, nothing flashy, just elegant enough for the Children's Hospital fundraiser. As I checked my reflection backstage, Elena bustled in, clipboard in hand. Full house, she announced, and the silent auctions already raised $50,000. That's amazing. You look tense, she observed, adjusting my hair. Still worried about those threats? I nodded, not mentioning the latest development. Victor had insisted we keep the escalation quiet. No need to frighten the donors, he'd said. Elena squeezed my shoulder. Your guard dog seems on high alert tonight. She nearly bit my head off when I tried to bring you these. She handed me a small bouquet of white roses. From an admirer, apparently. My blood ran cold. There's no card? Just said, for Lindsay. Probably from that producer who's been pursuing you. I forced a smile. Would you mind giving these to Mila? She'll want to check them. Elena raised an eyebrow but took the flowers. Moments later I heard Mila's sharp voice carrying from the hallway. Who delivered these? When? Description. Victor appeared at my dressing room door. 5 minutes, superstar. Ready to save some children's lives? I nodded, fighting the urge to cancel everything and run. But Detective Raymond's words echoed in my head. Better to draw them out on our terms. The spotlight hit me as I took the stage, momentarily blinding. The familiar rush of performance adrenaline pushed aside my fear as I settled onto the stool, guitar across my lap. Thank you all for coming tonight, I began. Every dollar raised helps kids who are fighting battles much tougher than any we face. I launched into an acoustic version of my latest hit, scanning the crowd as I sang. Everyone seemed transfixed, phones held high to capture the moment. From my peripheral vision, I could see Mila stage left, her posture rigid as she systematically scanned each section of the audience. Halfway through my third song, I noticed her touch her earpiece, her body language shifting subtly. Something was happening. My voice nearly faltered, but years of performance training kept me going while my heart hammered against my ribs. Mila was moving now, crossing behind the stage curtain toward the opposite side. Detective Raymond, disguised as venue security, was also moving along the back wall. I forced myself to finish the song, then said, I'm going to take a quick break, but I'll be right back. Please enjoy complimentary champagne in the meantime. The moment I was backstage, Mila grabbed my arm, pulling me toward a service corridor. Suspicious individual near the south exit, she said, voice low and urgent. Dark clothes, kept checking their watch and moving closer to the stage. Did you see who? A crash echoed from the stage area, followed by screams. Mila pushed me against the wall, shielding me with her body as she drew her weapon. Stay here, she ordered. Mila, don't. She was already moving, silent and deadly, back toward the commotion. I waited 3 agonizing minutes before my curiosity and concern overpowered my fear. Carefully, I peeked around the corner. The venue was in chaos, people rushing for exits, security trying to maintain order. On stage where I'd been sitting minutes before, a heavy lighting fixture had crashed down, smashing my guitar. If I'd been there... Lindsay! Victor appeared suddenly, grabbing my shoulders. Thank God. Are you okay? What happened? Equipment failure, he said, pulling me toward the rear exit. But we need to get you out of here, now. Where's Mila? Securing the perimeter. Come on. Something felt wrong. I should wait for her. There's no time. His grip tightened painfully on my arm. My car's right outside. I'd never seen Victor so insistent, so physical. As we pushed through the exit door into the alley behind the venue, doubt crystallized into certainty. Victor, let go. We need to move quickly. Did you do this? I pulled back. The threats? The cabin photo? His expression shifted subtly. Don't be ridiculous. I'm protecting you. From what? A lighting fixture that nearly killed me? That's not coincidence. His face hardened as he reached into his jacket. I tried to warn you. That woman was dangerous for you. Victor. A blur of motion interrupted us as Mila appeared from nowhere, tackling Victor to the ground. They struggled briefly before she pinned him, her forearm across his throat. Police are coming, she said, breathing hard. Don't move. Detective Raymond burst through the door seconds later, weapon drawn. Victor Nelson, you're under arrest for stalking and attempted murder. As they cuffed him, Victor's face contorted with rage. Everything I did was for her career. That bodyguard was ruining everything we built. I felt numb as Raymond led him away, reciting his rights. The mentor who'd discovered me, shaped my career. He'd been willing to kill me rather than lose control. Are you hurt? Mila asked, her hands carefully checking me for injuries. I shook my head, still processing. How did you know? I didn't, she admitted. Not until tonight. The roses were bought with his credit card. And the lighting fixture. Someone with venue access had to tamper with it. The adrenaline crash hit suddenly. My knees buckled. And Mila caught me, strong arms holding me upright. It's over, she murmured into my hair. You're safe now. We stood there in the alley, sirens wailing in the distance, her heart beating steadily against mine. The danger had passed, but one question remained. What happens now? I whispered. With us? She pulled back enough to meet my eyes. First, we get you somewhere safe. Then, we figure it out. Her hand found mine in the darkness, fingers intertwining. Not bodyguard and client anymore, just two women facing an uncertain future together. The safe house was a modern condo in an anonymous high-rise downtown, the kind of place with security gates, keycard elevators, and neighbors who minded their own business. Detective Raymond had arranged it while the investigation into Victor continued. 3 days minimum, he'd told us, until we complete the search of his properties. Mila hadn't left my side since the incident at the Rose Room. She'd temporarily shifted from bodyguard to something undefined. The professional barriers had dissolved, but we were both too exhausted and shell-shocked to address what that meant. I stood at the window, watching Bakersfield lights twinkle below as evening settled over the city. News of Victor's arrest had broken hours earlier, sending my phone into a constant buzz of notifications. I'd turned it off after the third reporter called. You should eat something, Mila said, placing a sandwich on the coffee table. I smiled weakly. Playing caretaker now? Old habits. She hesitated. How are you holding up? Still processing. 8 years with Victor. I shook my head. All that time, was he obsessed, planning this? Raymond thinks it escalated recently. Your increasing independence threatened him. And you accelerated that threat. I turned to face her. He saw you as competition for control over me. Her expression tightened. I should have seen it sooner. Stop that. I moved closer. You're the one who saved me. After putting you in danger. She looked away. My feelings for you compromised my judgment. I should never have let things develop between us. Do you regret it? Her eyes met mine, that intense blue that could shift from ice to flame in an instant. I regret the risk it created. I don't regret what happened between us. The admission hung in the air, neither of us sure how to proceed. We'd been thrust into this undefined space without the clear parameters of bodyguard and client. I've requested a formal debrief with my agency, she said finally. I'll be completely transparent about my professional lapses. You mean kissing me? A ghost of a smile touched her lips. Among other things. Will you lose your job? Possibly. Definitely if they learn everything. I stepped closer. And what's everything? Her breathing changed subtly. That I fell for my client, that I'd break every protocol to keep you safe, that I can't be objective anymore. Tell me, I whispered. Tell me when it happened. She hesitated, then relented. The storm. When the power went out. You were standing there in the lightning flashes, not afraid anymore, just determined. Beautiful. I reached for her hand, but she pulled back. Lindsay, I need to tell you something. About my past. The seriousness in her voice made me sit on the couch. She remained standing, as if proximity would make her confession harder. You know I was in the military. What I didn't tell you was my fiancée, Sarah, was in my unit. I nodded, remembering the brief mention at the hotel. We were engaged secretly. Don't ask, don't tell was just ending. Her voice grew clinical, detached. Our convoy was ambushed in Kandahar. IED took out the lead vehicle. She paced as she spoke, unable to stay still with these memories. I was team leader. Should have seen the signs, local activity changes, unusual quiet that morning. Her jaw clenched. Sarah died instantly. 3 others later from injuries. Mila. I was discharged honorably. They called it unavoidable. But I knew better. She finally met my eyes. When I became your bodyguard, I swore I wouldn't fail again. Then I let myself get close to you and you still protected me. I interrupted, standing to face her. You didn't fail. Victor would have succeeded if not for you. This time. But what about next time? My feelings for you make me vulnerable. Make you vulnerable. I took her hands, refusing to let her pull away. Your feelings for me make you stronger. They make us both stronger. For a moment, we stood suspended between her fear and my certainty. Then I made the decision for both of us, closing the distance between our lips. Unlike our previous kisses, tentative at the cabin, desperate after the threats, this was deliberate, a choice being made. She responded immediately, arms encircling me as the kiss deepened. All the tension, fear, and unspoken emotions of the past weeks poured into that connection. When we finally broke apart, something had changed. The uncertainty was gone. "I can't go back to being just your bodyguard," she whispered against my lips. "I don't want you to." Her hands traced the outline of my face as if memorizing it. "What do you want, Lindsay Cox?" "You. Just you." We moved together toward the bedroom, clothing discarded along the way. In the soft glow of city lights through the windows, I discovered the maps of scars on her body, testament to battles fought and survived. She explored me with reverent hands, as if I were something precious and breakable. "I've wanted this since I first saw you," she confessed between kisses, digging in the dirt, cursing at that tree. I laughed, the sound transforming into a gasp as her mouth found sensitive skin. "Even then?" "Even then," she murmured against my collarbone. "You were sunshine and fire, everything I'm not." "You're wrong," I whispered as her body covered mine. "You're the strongest fire I've ever known." Time dissolved as we learned each other's bodies, the places that made her breath catch, the touches that made me call her name. The professional distance she'd maintained for so long transformed into an intimate knowledge that left us both trembling and transformed. Afterward, tangled in sheets and each other, I traced lazy patterns on her shoulder. "What happens tomorrow?" She pulled me closer. "I don't know, but we face it together." For the first time since the threats began, I felt completely safe. Not because she was a bodyguard, but because she was Mila, the woman who had seen me at my most vulnerable and still chosen to stay. Victor's arrest made headlines nationwide. Music manager stalked country star. The industry buzzed with shocking details emerging from the investigation: hidden cameras in my home, tracking devices on my vehicles, an obsessive journal documenting my daily activities for years. "He had your house keys copied," Detective Raymond explained during our update meeting. "Manipulated your schedule to isolate you from potential relationships. The threats escalated when you hired independent security." "When I hired Mila," I clarified, reaching for her hand across the table. Raymond nodded. He saw her as a threat to his control. The detective slid photos across the table, evidence from Victor's apartment showing walls covered with my images, schedules, and disturbingly detailed notes about my daily routines. "The preliminary psychiatric evaluation suggests he believed he was protecting you," Raymond continued. "In his mind, he was saving you from people who would exploit you." "By trying to kill me?" I asked incredulously. In his warped logic, if he couldn't save you from Mila's influence, he'd rather see you harmed than corrupted. I shuddered, leaning into Mila's solid presence beside me. "Will he go to prison?" she asked. "With the attempted murder charge?" "Absolutely. His lawyers are already floating an insanity defense, but the premeditation was extensive." After Raymond left, Mila and I walked through the park near the safe house. Spring had arrived in Bakersfield, bringing unexpected wildflowers after the winter rains. The normalcy felt strange after weeks of looking over my shoulder. "My security firm called," Mila said as we strolled. "They've scheduled my disciplinary hearing for Monday." My heart sank. "Because of us?" "Because I violated multiple protocols, became emotionally involved with a client, left you alone at critical moments. But you saved me." "That's not how they'll see it." She squeezed my hand. "It's okay. I've been considering starting my own firm anyway." The idea of Mila not being my bodyguard anymore felt both terrifying and liberating. What would we be to each other without danger binding us together? "I have to testify against Victor next month," I said quietly. "Face him in court. I'll be there. As my bodyguard or my girlfriend." The question hung between us, laden with uncertainty about our future. "Whatever you need me to be," she answered carefully. That evening, Elena came to the safe house with business matters requiring my attention. Victor's absence had created a professional vacuum that needed filling immediately. "The label's nervous," Elena explained, spreading contracts across the coffee table. "They're worried about the publicity affecting your new album release." "They're worried about publicity while I'm dealing with a stalker who tried to kill me?" I laughed bitterly. "Welcome to the music industry," Elena sighed. "But there's good news. 3 top management companies are courting you, and your social media numbers are actually up since the incident." I shook my head in disbelief. "We need to discuss your public appearances moving forward," she continued. "The small venue you were planning for next week." I'm still doing it, I interrupted. Both Mila and Elena stared at me. Lindsay, after everything that's happened, Elena began. Especially after everything that's happened, I said firmly. I refuse to let fear dictate my life anymore. Mila said nothing, but I could see the wheels turning behind those intense blue eyes. After Elena left, I found Mila on the balcony, staring at the city lights. You think I'm being reckless, I said. I think you're being brave. She turned to face me, but bravery doesn't preclude caution. Will you be there? At the venue? Of course. She hesitated. Lindsay, about what you asked earlier, what I'll be to you after this. My heart stuttered. And? I can't be your official security anymore, not after everything. But I'll always protect you, in whatever capacity you'll have me. The coming out wasn't what scared me. My fanbase was largely progressive, and my label had supported LGBTQ+ artists before. What terrified me was defining us outside the context of danger, building something normal from such extraordinary beginnings. The night of the small venue performance arrived faster than expected. The Bakersfield Folk House held just 200 people, devoted fans who'd stuck with me since the beginning. No assigned seating, minimal security, just music and connection. Backstage, I peeked through the curtain at the gathering crowd. Mila stood nearby, not as my bodyguard tonight, but as my date, though old habits had her scanning exits and eyeing suspicious packages. Nervous? She asked. About performing? Never. I smiled. About what I'm going to say after? Terrified. She touched my cheek gently. You don't have to do this tonight. I do. For me. The moment I stepped on stage, guitar in hand, the crowd erupted. Their support washed over me like a healing wave. I sang through my standard set, then put my guitar aside for the final number. This last song is new, I told the hushed audience. I wrote it about someone who came into my life disguised as protection, but turned out to be so much more. I found Mila's eyes in the dim light, saw her sudden understanding. Before I sing it, I want to be honest with you all. These past months have been the scariest of my life, but they've also brought me the greatest gift, the courage to be completely myself, and someone who loves that self exactly as she is. A murmur rippled through the crowd. This song is called Guardian, and it's for Mila. As the first notes played, I watched Elena's professional mask slip into genuine surprise. Phones raised throughout the venue, capturing the moment. By tomorrow, everyone would know. The final verse faded into silence before thunderous applause erupted. Through tearful eyes, I saw Mila watching from the wings, her professional composure completely abandoned, naked emotion on her face. I'd finally found freedom, not from danger or fear, but from hiding. As I took my bow, the weight of secrets lifted from my shoulders, leaving only the lightness of possibility ahead. 6 months can change everything. The Victor Nelson trial had concluded with a 15-year sentence for attempted murder and stalking. My album, featuring Guardian, had dropped to critical acclaim and uncomfortable media scrutiny. And Mila White Security Consulting had opened its doors, already attracting high-profile clients who valued discretion and expertise. Standing backstage at the Grand Bakersfield Theater, I adjusted my silver earrings, a gift from Mila for our 6-month anniversary. Tonight was the final show of my 10-city tour, a triumphant return to the city where everything had changed. 5 minutes, called the stage manager. I took a deep breath, running through my mental checklist. The tour had been exhausting but healing, each performance stripping away another layer of fear left by Victor's betrayal. You're going to be amazing, said a familiar voice behind me. Mila stood in the doorway, stunning in a charcoal suit that highlighted those blue eyes I'd fallen for during the darkest time of my life. She no longer shadowed my every move, but some habits died hard. I caught her scanning the room, noting exits, assessing potential threats. Professional assessment? I teased. Or girlfriend bias? Both. She stepped closer, straightening my collar. The security team checked everything twice. Elena's managing the press, and your new manager hasn't shown any homicidal tendencies. Low bar for management these days? We shared a smile at the dark joke, healing taking different forms for different wounds. I have something for you, she said, pulling a small velvet box from her pocket. For after the show. My heart stumbled. Mila. Not that, she clarified quickly. Not yet, just a milestone marker. I tucked the box into my dressing table drawer. Now I'll have something to look forward to besides the after-party. The theater hummed with anticipation as I took the stage. 3,000 faces looked back at me. Some familiar from years of local shows, others new fans drawn by the publicity surrounding my coming out and the dramatic events preceding it. "Bakersfield," I said into the microphone. "It's good to be home." For the next 90 minutes, I gave everything. Each song carried new meaning. Older lyrics about love and loss transformed by genuine experience. New songs explicitly addressing what I'd been through. The audience moved with me through the emotional landscape, responding to authenticity they hadn't heard before. For the encore, I sat alone at the piano in a single spotlight. "This last song wasn't on the set list," I told them. "It's something I finished writing yesterday. It's called The Choice, and it's about what happens after the danger passes, when you have to decide who you really are without fear defining you." My fingers found the keys, and the melody that had awakened me at 3 a.m. flowed into the hushed theater. The lyrics spoke of transformation, of choosing love over safety, vulnerability over armor. As the final notes faded, I found Mila watching from stage left, no longer my protector, but my partner, the woman who had seen me at my most broken and helped me become something stronger. Backstage after the show, Elena hugged me tightly. "That new song needs to be your next single," she insisted. "The label will go crazy for it." "I just finished it yesterday. Trust me, it's gold. Like everything you've written since." She trailed off delicately. "Since Victor. Since Mila. Since I stopped hiding." The after-party buzzed with industry people, but Mila and I slipped away after an hour. The night air was cool as we walked to her car, fingers intertwined. "Remember that box?" she asked as we drove through downtown Bakersfield. "Hard to forget." I caressed the small velvet square in my pocket. At a red light, she nodded toward it. "Open it." Inside was a key. Simple, bronze, unremarkable. "It's to my apartment," she said quietly. "I thought maybe you might want to make it official, move in together." For someone so brave in the face of physical danger, her vulnerability in this moment was endearing. "Don't you think I practically live there already?" I teased gently. "This is different. This is permanent." The light turned green, but she remained focused on me, waiting. "Yes," I whispered, closing my hand around the key. "Of course, yes." Later that night, tangled in sheets at her apartment, our apartment now, I traced the scar on her shoulder, a memento from her military days. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if Victor hadn't sent those threats?" I asked. "If we'd just met normally at that tree planting?" She considered this, fingers drawing lazy patterns on my back. "I'd have still noticed you, still wanted you, but I might not have had the courage to pursue it. So in a twisted way, we owe him. We owe ourselves," she corrected, "for being brave enough to choose each other even when it was complicated." I rested my head on her chest, listening to the steady heartbeat that had become my favorite sound. "The tour's over," I murmured. "What now?" "Now," she said, kissing the top of my head. "We live without looking over our shoulders. We build something that isn't born from crisis." "Sounds terrifying," I admitted. "More terrifying than a stalker?" "Different kind of terror. The good kind." Outside, Bakersfield continued its night rhythm. The city where I'd found success, faced danger, and ultimately discovered the courage to be fully myself. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new songs, new choices. But tonight, in the arms of the woman who had once been my guardian and was now simply my love, I was precisely where I needed to be. Safe, not because of locks and security systems, but because I'd finally found home in another person's heart.